So I want to talk to you a little bit about the future of work. I'm just going to give you a 10-minute snapshot into it. I could talk about it for days and days because I'm really excited about what's happening. And I just wanted to take us through a number of trends of things that are that you'll probably experience or that you will see soon. So the number one trend is something that may be surprising to a lot of people. We're moving into more of a humanistic, people-centered organization. Because of knowledge, because of where we're headed in terms of what we bring to work. And believe me, I'm a tech woman for many years, and I think technology is really important and is an enabler. We're going to stop leading with technology and start leading with people. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how work is going to be more focused on the humans and the people. And if you look at a lot of surveys that are out there, whether it's Gallup, and there's so many articles coming out right now around employee engagement. According to Gallup, 3 in 10 employees are engaged at work. So you could look at where it is, and further surveys are showing also that there's not a big gap between executives and employees. And so the engagement issue is going to have a lot more focus in the future. And Ruth is going to tell us more about it. And a lot of people don't necessarily love what they're doing, and so they're looking for more purpose and for meaning in what they're doing. And so companies that really put their people first are the ones that are going to win. And there's a whole bunch of them out there, and from what I hear, BlackRock is among them, looking at, how do you position this in terms of the people that you have and the talent that you have. The second trend that we're seeing is, has anybody noticed that we're living in the 21st century? Anybody remember what happened when we went to 2000 and all the IT departments invested all that money and nothing really happened? But why is it that when we come to work, we're still using 20th century practices? If you look at it, some of us drive 2 hours every day to a job and then drive home. We have cubicles in some places. And work is going to be in the future much more decentralized and is not going to be about a place. And I'm going to talk and share some statistics with you about offices. But in 1954, we all came. When I looked for photos for this, I was looking at the factories, at the sewing machines, at how work happened. And today we've put people in cubes instead of really looking at how do we tap into people, how do we get their creativity and innovation. And we're realizing that face-to-face is important. And if you look at how we communicate, video is also becoming more and more important in how we connect. And when we look at the global trends, you'll see why work is going to be anywhere. The workplace demographics are also changing, which I'm super excited about. I was a big advocate for millennials. You have an article in my handout about Gen Y, kind of demystifying some of the myths about. I love Gen Y. I'm interviewing Gen Yers for my book, so if anybody's interested, let me know. But the demographics are shifting, and by 2025, over 75% of the workplace is going to be comprised of millennials. That's 11 years away. That's a huge shift that's happening in the workplace, and one of the reasons that it's really important is because the values are different. And I have worked with millennials from Turkey, from Romania, from South Africa, from Cairo, from Canada, from the US, and they bring a really fresh perspective to work. Some of them may need some more help with some business skills, but in terms of what they bring to work, in terms of passion, in terms of values, it's amazing. And their values are very different. In terms of wanting to make sure that the company they work for, whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit, they want to make sure that they're making an impact in society. And so it's going to revolutionize how we do corporate social responsibility, because it's not going to be a program anymore. In the work that we do, we have to think, how does it tie into society? How does it tie into community? And not just link it to NGOs. And so there's a big shift that's happening there. The fourth big trend that we're seeing is around retirement. I won't ask here, but how many people think they're going to retire?
I think I did.
There's a whole shift, and the research shows. And when you retire, are you going to work? Are you going to do other things? Right? I mean, so the whole notion of retirement is shifting as well. And we're going to have a very different workforce in terms of demographics, looking at those shifts of also how the different players work together. The fifth trend, which I'm the most excited about, is a thing called women. I am so tired of seeing all the statistics about, how few women we have on boards, how many women are leaving corporate America to start their own businesses. We need more women in corporate. We need more women in leadership. We need more women in boards. And here's the dirty little truth that nobody talks about. The biggest emerging market in the world, which is bigger than both India and China, is women. Women are going to control $15 trillion in consumer spending. What does that mean? What influence do women have? Women have a huge influence. Think about the influence around education, healthcare, things that are important also from a societal perspective, and also bringing that understanding into the workplace. But we underestimate the power that women have. And globally, if you think about it, and what's really interesting, I was on the executive team for Cisco in emerging markets for a couple of years, and I was amazed at how many women we worked with when we were negotiating deals, when we were looking at things. And there's a huge opportunity with women that I think we all need to stand up and rally together to really make a difference in a lot of different ways. And that's why we're here. Anybody know who said that? Steve Jobs, one of my favorite quotes, talking about, that's why we're here, to make a dent in the universe. And what we're finding at work, and especially with women, is people are looking more at purpose and meaning. If you wanted to find out about mindful leadership or mindful work, there are a whole bunch of new conferences that have spurred, like Wisdom 2.0, which happens in San Francisco. There's also, there was recently in New York, the Work Revolution. I just attended Wisdom 2.0 for Business at Google in New York a couple months ago. And there are a lot of people coming together thinking about more meaning and purpose at work. There's also in the handout something about the Work Hacker Summit that we're pulling off in February. And we just launched a Google community on that as well. So there's a lot of people looking for purpose and looking at what is work going to be. Globally, let's take our lens off the US for 1 second and look at the world. When we look globally, it's actually pretty frightening. We're going to have a deficit of 40 million workers in the developed world. And we're going to have a surplus of 1 billion workers in the developing world. And in the developing world, it's going to be more an issue around employability. And the demographics, when you look at age, they're more millennials. In Africa, for example, half of the population now is under the age of 26. And so there are a lot of shifts. So thinking about, again, work as a place and how you work together, you have to look at the global talent piece of it. The seventh trend that's happening is the contingent workforce. And this is a lot of great work that's been done by my colleague Carolyn, who has been doing a lot of studies around the contingent workforce, where the prediction is that by 2020, 40% of the workforce will be contingent. So what does that mean for work? It means that when we go to work, we have to know how to find the best talent. And it's not, for me in my old world, it was like, what color badge did you have? Were you full-time or part-time? And could you have the part-time people in your employee resource group, like Win or not? All those decisions need to make. There's going to be a huge shift in the marketplace, because if you look at why people are choosing to be independent, it's all about passion and purpose again. And if you look at the market, it's $1.17 trillion. And if you look at how people are hiring other people as well, it's creating a whole new economy out there that's really important to take into account from a corporate perspective. And if you think about women as well, there are a lot of women who are having their children leave home now, and they want to re-enter the workplace. Think about how do we bring them back? And many of them are deciding to be contingent, but there's a whole opportunity on the corporate side to create programs to retrain some of these women who are highly qualified but have been raising children, to bring them back into work. So there's a lot of opportunity there if we think about the fact that we're going to have a deficit of employees in the future. And companies like TaskRabbit, now people are making full-time employment out of TaskRabbit. People don't necessarily need a full-time job anymore if they have skills. I've been using TaskRabbit since it started because I talk about it, and I have to say, I've met some of the most interesting people working on tasks and really looking at how they reinvent themselves in a different way by being a TaskRabbit. So working anywhere is also huge. The ability to work virtually is really important. The New York Times reports that the average amount of office space per employee in the US dropped from 400 square feet to 250 and will be reduced to 150. So the way that we think about space and how people work and co-working spaces and things like that, I was just in Indonesia 2 weeks ago, and I checked out this great co-working space in Ubud that was started by 2 fellow Canadians, and it was fantastic to see like people just working there. And I realized, I actually tweeted from there saying, I really think now that you could work from anywhere. and it's becoming more of a reality. The 9th goal is really about the consumerization of the workplace. This is the first time that we've brought more technology and more tools and more toys into work. Used to be that we got all the cool stuff from work, from the office. Now we get it from ourselves. And then we come, we could tweet, we can do a review of something, we have a voice, we didn't like the hotel. Anybody here not, book a, find out, go to a meal or a hotel or a trip from somebody's recommendation online? Do you know these people? Do you know what they like? We're in an era where we trust strangers, but yet we walk into work and we're told this is the browser, this is the way we do, this is the community we need to do. So there's a gap there between who we are as consumers and then coming to work as well with what's available to us. The way companies are going to start measuring talent, Google's doing this and other companies are doing this, is very different. And they're starting to use analytics and also your social sphere. So there's going to be a different way about how we start looking and evaluating our talent within organizations. We also need a different type of leader. We need people who are visionary and are bold and can work globally and can be very project-based. Because one of the things that we're moving towards is more of a project-based work environment. So looking at the leadership that we have is really, really important. Disruption is huge. Anybody ever see a Nike Fuel Band? Right? When you think about Nike, what do you think? Innovation. But do you think sports? Shoes? Do you think data services? Right? Apple, right? Apple went into Siri. Why did it go into Siri? For search, right? Why did Google go into the Android? Mobile. Did you ever think that you would hear that Netflix won an Emmy? Right? This is what disruption, creativity, and innovation is all about. And when you have the future workplace where you have people working on projects and focus on what you're doing, you can get to that level of disruption and innovation by having people really think creatively about what's next and moving to the future. And I apologize, I'm doing this really quickly. So one of my beefs is I think we've overcomplicated business. I think what we have to do is go back to business basics. We're all talking about Enterprise 2.0, Jive, whatever platform technology that we want to have. And what we need to do is talk about what business we're in, what we're trying to do, and how technology and tools enable us in our work. And so one of my big areas of focus is how do we go back to business basics? How do we have communication? Why are we talking about email? Shouldn't we just be communicating? And shouldn't we be communicating about the business? So here are some of my predictions about the future of work. The first one is, so for me it's like say goodbye to, a nice big goodbye to, and say hello to. So say goodbye to top-down hierarchies, and really say hello to and embrace nimble organizations that can make decisions quickly and have transparent communication where people can come in and do their job easily. Say goodbye to competing for market share, and say hello to what we just saw Nike do and Apple do and Google do and Netflix do. Say hello to creating new markets. And that's what's happening a lot with the startups. They're not looking at who else is in the space and how do I compete. They're looking at how do I create new markets. And for corporations, that's a huge, huge opportunity to look at what new markets are we not in that we could move into. Job-based work is going to move into project-based work. Imagine the movie business. When people make a movie, they bring in the best talent. They bring in the best costume designers, music editors, actors, whatever, and then they all go home. They also get paid really well, but that's besides the point. But in this case, work will become project-based. So it won't be, I'm in marketing, I'm in sales, I'm in this department. It'll be about the project that you work about and finding the right talent around it. Again, organizational centric, where you are in the box or the hierarchy, versus people-centric. Really understanding the right talent, whether it's consulting talent, whether it's full-time talent, part-time talent, whatever it is, bringing in the right people to work on your projects. Command and control doesn't exist, right? You've never seen that. That's a 20th century practice. Trust-based, right? If you look at the Edelman studies and you look at where trust is today, there's a huge opportunity to rebuild trust and bring more trust into the organization. Hierarchy again, and I know Maya's going to talk more about it, but the networks and the relationship-based. I've been doing online, I'm only 27 and I've been doing online communities since the early 90s. And I introduced the first internal online community at Cisco in 1999 and it failed miserably. And I learned a ton from it, so never be scared of failure, always try. But the networks and the relationship piece and the community piece is going to be huge. We have not seen anything yet about what's possible in that. Work-life balance, say goodbye to work-life balance. It's a myth. It's a myth. We're not two people. And the cool thing about the millennials and what they're bringing to work is life and then work. If you ever interviewed a millennial, you'll see they'll ask you, how many vacation days could I get? Where can I work from? And so this whole life work shift is going to be huge, and we're going to get rid of the word balance. And lastly, what we're not going to see in the future is 30-plus careers, which I saw on United Airlines where they were telling us, oh, I've been with airline for 34 years, great, come fly with us. The prediction is that, for younger folks, they're going to have 10 jobs by the time they're 40. And those 10 jobs could be with the same company. But they're going to want change and they're going to want differences. So those are just some predictions to get our conversation going here. And so is it rocket science? No, it's easy. It's all about people. Where we're moving to is really the human organization, and the companies that are doing this really well are the ones that put people first. Thanks.